Cleophas Wafula. He is here to speak to us about addiction. All the other different details that he has, he will let us know. I think it is at this point that I invite Dr. Wafula. Thank you.
Happy Sabbath. Happy Sabbath once more. As you have heard, my name is Dr. Cleophas Wafula. I'm a Christian. I'm a Catholic. I come from Kabarak, but in this Nakuru County. I'm a psychiatrist by training. I work at Nakuru County General Hospital as a psychiatrist, consultant psychiatrist. I also work at Valley Hospital as a consultant psychiatrist. I'm trained at Moi University for my master's in psychiatry. I also trained at Nairobi University for undergraduate, Bachelor of Science of Medicine and Surgery. Before that, I was in Kakamega High School and another local school in Kakamega called Sisohe. I'm married. I have 3 children, Form 3, a grade 9, and a grade 3. And I thank God for that. Today, we'll talk about addiction. And I'm sorry because I'm late. I'm sorry because I'm late. I was late because I was seeing a patient at Valley Hospital and a patient of addiction. Therefore, I was still doing the same thing in a different place. Now, at the end of the day, you are supposed to leave this place knowing what is addiction. You have to know why people start using substance. I will use the word substance to mean drug of abuse. I'll use both English and Kiswahili interchangeably. I hope hakuna mwenye ajui Kiswahili. Kunae? I had those people who introduced me, they were all speaking in English. But I'll mix to drive the point home. So, you have to know the reason why people start using substance. Signs of addiction. What do you look for when you want to know that this person is addicted or not? I will also briefly mention groups of drug of abuse. I'll talk much about alcohol use disorder, alcohol intoxication, alcohol withdrawal, and management of a person with alcohol use disorder. The Bible has talked a lot about substance of abuse. I think I hear people saying, who can read for us Proverbs chapter, I think 25? No, 23, 35. 23, 35. Up to, 23, 29, up to 35. Kuna mwenye amepata? Yes, just read for us.
Proverbs 23, verse 29.
Yes.
Who hath woe? Who has sorrow? Who has contentions? Who has babblings? Who has wounds without cause? Who has redness of eyes? They that tarry long at the wine, they that go to seek mixed wine. Look not upon the wine when it's red, when it gives its color in the cup, when it moves itself aright. At last it bites like a serpent, stings like an adder. Verse 30, 3, thine eyes shall behold strange women, and your heart shall utter perverse things. Yea, you shall be as he that lies down in the midst of a sea, or as he that lies upon the top of a mast. They have stricken me, will you say, and I was not sick. They have beaten me, and I felt it not. When shall I awake? I will seek it yet again.
Yes, that book is mainly talking about signs of intoxication of alcohol and signs of withdrawal from alcohol, as we shall see. I think, let me read from this side. I'll search it. So what is addiction? I don't know if it is usually interactive or not. Is it usually interactive discussion? People can ask questions, people can answer questions like a class. Okay, good. So what is addiction? What is addiction? Asema mtu amekuwa addicted. That's a common word we hear. We are an addict. Huyu ni mlevi, huyu ni drunkard, this is smokes cannabis. You have heard those things, isn't it? Now, addiction is defined as a chronic brain disease. Chronic brain disease that is characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use. So 1, it is a brain disease. 2, it is chronic. Chronic means it is not, it lasts more than 2 weeks. It keeps on recurring. Okay? And it is, the symptoms of this is compulsive drug seeking and use despite the harmful consequences. A chronic brain disease that is characterized by compulsive drug seeking and use despite harmful consequences. You have seen a drunkard. He has had an accident, but still the following day, he will go and look for alcohol and drink. That is compulsion to look for alcohol and use it, despite having an accident yesterday. We have seen people with hypertension. We have seen people with diabetes. They are told that this diabetes is caused by alcohol. This hypertension is caused by alcohol. But still, he goes to look for alcohol and drink. That is a person who is addicted. Therefore, he has a chronic brain disease that is characterized by compulsive seeking and use despite harmful consequences. So we look at what is compulsive behavior. That is, you have no alternative other than going to look for it. So one characteristic of addiction is that it is compulsive in nature. You use it, you feel good, the following day, you go and look for it again, you come and use it. It is also, for us to say that you are addicted, it involves loss of control. As we'll see later, loss of control involves the amount of substance you are using. I said I'll use the word substance to mean drug. So the amount of substance you use, there is loss of control. You start with 1 beer, the following day you go to 2 beers, the following day you go to 3 beers, and so on and so forth, until you stop taking beers and start taking spirit. So there is loss of control. Another explaining loss of control is you tell yourself, I'm going to the bar to take 2 beers, but you end up taking 7. You went there with clear mind that I'm going to take 2, but you end up taking 7. That means you have lost control. Then there is negative consequences. It has always negative effects. You drink alcohol, you smoke cannabis, you use cocaine or any other drug, you will have negative consequences. You will see later on. Then this condition is always relapsing. It is coming and going. You have seen people who have gone to rehabilitation, they come back, they again go back to rehabilitation. They come back, they start drinking. It's because addiction as a characteristic, it keeps on relapsing. It is chronic in nature. Then it causes brain changes. When you do X-rays or MRIs, functional MRI of a healthy person compared to a person with the alcohol, you will see changes in the brain that shows that this person has been abusing alcohol. Then the question is, why do people start using alcohol? People use alcohol, isn't it? How did they start? Anybody who uses alcohol? I think people in church don't use alcohol, especially in SDA. Is there anybody who uses alcohol? I can tell you, if you don't use, you must have a relative who uses. And if you do, it's unlikely that you don't have a relative. I know 100% here have a relative who uses alcohol or abuses substance in general, without exception. And if you don't, then it's unique. So one of the reasons why people start using is because of curiosity. Curiosity. Students in high school, in Form 2, in Form 3, watasikia, huyu anasema, unajua mimi nafutanga bangi, na nikifuta bangi na feel high, nasikia vizuri, na enjoy, ni kama uko cloud 9, uko mbinguni. In fact, mwingine atakwambia mimi nafuta bangi ndio ni ukue close to God. Ukifuta bangi unakuwa karibu na Mungu kabisa, you can actually communicate with God. That is what they say. So, mtu akisikia hivyo ati, mtu akifuta bangi anakuwa karibu na Mungu. So let me try and see. Curiosity. So unaona huyo amesikia huyo mwingine akisema ati ukifuta bangi you feel like you are communicating with God direct. Ako hapo unamuuliza, "Sir God, hebu niletee gari," anakuambia utapata kesho. So you want also to experience that. So you start by curiosity. Another reason why people start using substance is coping with stress. He has financial stress, he has marital stress, he has employment stress. So he opts to take substance, anajidanganya ati anajitibu stress yake na pombe, ama na bangi, ama na cocaine. So as a coping mechanism to stress. There are several types of stress, including marriage as a stress. Kuoa. Imagine hiyo siku ya wedding, as you wait for the following day to have a wedding. That stress you had. So somebody to wait until tomorrow reaches, asema wacha nikunywe hii moja, nilale, niamuke kesho kama imefika, badala ya kuwa stress nikingojea kesho. So marriage is also a stressor. That wedding is a stressor on its own. Therefore, having a stress can make someone start abusing substance. Another reason is mental illness. There are people, actually a higher percentage of people who use alcohol have primary mental illness. They have a primary mental illness that makes them use alcohol. So that is why you must see a psychiatrist to tell if this person is purely addicted or he has a primary mental illness that is making him use alcohol. For example, if you have primary depression, ukona depression, you feel like the world is ending, you are hopeless, you feel worthless, unasema waja nikunywe, nikufe. So the problem is not addiction, the problem is depression. There are some people who cannot talk in public. They have anxiety disorder.
But when they drink, they have courage to talk. So for you to treat the addiction in that person, you must first treat the anxiety. So when I say depression, anxiety, or psychosis, those are primary psychiatric disorders that make people abuse substance. Some people start using substance because of prescription. Unaenda hospitali, unafanyiwa operation, unapewa painkiller. Some of the medication are drug of abuse. There are medications that are given in the hospital that can be abused. So once you are given that medication, then you know it, you end up going to buy for yourself, and then you become addicted to it. This is common in people who work in hospital. Then another reason is culture. Why people start abusing substance, another reason is culture. There are people, when they are having circumcision, you must drink. There are people, when you are having wedding, you must drink. There are people, when you are having traditional marriage, you must have busa next to you. And from that point, the people start drinking. So we have said, why do people start drinking? Reason number 1, curiosity. Number 2, to cope with stress. Number 3, because of mental illness. Number 4, as a prescription. And then lastly, because of culture. So, how do I know that my boyfriend is addicted? Signs of addiction. How do I know that my husband is addicted? How do I know that my relative is addicted? Symptom number 1 is craving. Wako na kiu ya kile kitu yenye wanakitumia. They have craving for the substance. Asipopata anasikia kiu ya sigara. Akiona mtu anavuta sigara, leta tu nimalizie kiu. Akiona mtu hata hana pesa ya kukunywa, lakini utamuona anapita karibu na bar, ndio aone rafiki anaingia, pia yeye aingie na yeye, ampatie, atolee hiyo kiu. So symptom number 1 is craving for the substance. I know when we say craving, women they know what craving is, especially those who eat soil during pregnancy. Wale wanakulanga mchanga. Hiyo kiu ya kula mchanga is a form of craving. I know SDA don't take tea. You don't take tea, isn't it? You take? Okay. Correction. But I know they don't take tea. Now, so if you don't take tea, like you are used to taking every day, then you don't take one day, you will feel like you have not taken tea. You will utasikia kiu ya kunywa chai. That is what we call craving for the substance. Another symptom of addiction is tolerance. For us to say that you are addicted, you start tolerating this alcohol. I'm using alcohol because it's the commonest. Tolerance means you need a higher dose than what you are taking the previous year to get the same effect today. Let me use an example. Last year ulikuwa unakunywa bia 2 unalewa. This year bia 2 haikuleweshi, unahitaji 4 ndio ulewe. That is called tolerance. So what people do, unajua beer, they are different. Kuna beer iko na 3.5% alcohol. Pia kuna spirit that has 35% alcohol. The concentration of alcohol is 35%. Pia kuna whiskey that has over 40% alcohol. So mtu anaanzanga na ile kidogo, ile yenye iko na pombe kidogo. Kama beer, kama kina Tusker, kina Pilsner, kina those ones. They start with those ones. Then as they continue, they find that haiwaleweshi. So they graduate to spirit. Now wanaenda yenye iko na higher concentration of alcohol. So unapata mtu alikuwa anaanza na beer ya 3.5, sasa ameruka kwa spirit. Hii inaitwanga makali, ndio spirit ama janga. Let me use that common language. So from spirit unapata ameenda kwa whiskey. Hata hiyo spirit hataanza tu spirit na ataanza spirit quarter. Alafu after half a year spirit nusu ni 500 mils. Alafu baadaye anaangusha mzinga. Hiyo ni majina ya inaitwa mzinga, ile 750 mils. Anaangusha mzinga peke yake. Baadaye hiyo mzinga haitamlewesha. That is what I'm saying, tolerance. So they start tolerating the alcohol or the substance. Similar to cannabis. Ataanza na roll, kwanza ataanza tuna kufuta moja. Ataenda mwenzake ampatie avute tu moja. Then baadaye anaanza full. Yeye mwenyewe anaenda kununua. By the way, it is very cheap. It's just 50 bob. By the way, I've never seen it, but I know it is 50 bob. From 50 bob anaanza kutumia ya 100 roll 2. Anatumia bangi ya 100, after some time anaanza sasa kuna ingine inaitwa imported. I can tell you that people import bangi kutoka America to this country. People import cannabis from Ethiopia to this country. So imported is more stronger than local. So that is tolerance. Now, another symptom of addiction is withdrawal symptoms. When you stop using the substance, you have these physical symptoms that the body is reminding you that you must take it. You forgot to take your alcohol, so you start having tremors. You start having convulsions. You start having vomiting. That is withdrawal symptoms. So, one symptom of addiction is withdrawal symptoms. If you are addicted and you stop the substance of abuse, you will definitely develop withdrawal symptom. Then, another symptom is that this person will continue using it despite knowing that it is harmful. So utauliza mgonjwa, unajua shida yote yenye pombe inaweza leta? Atakwambia inaleta liver disease, inaweza kuwa ufanye ukue na mental illness, inaweza leta vitonda ya tumbo, inaweza affect your reproductive system. We are all adults, isn't it? Just imagine you are not in church. Just imagine you are in a class. Because I will use some terms that are not palatable on the pulpit. But it also affects your reproductive system. So you don't function well. Mtu anajua hiyo yote, lakini bado anakunywa. That is a sign kwamba you are addicted. Lakini ukimuuliza, are you addicted? Uende rehab. Anasema, hapana, mimi sijafikia kiwango ya rehab. Lakini kesho hawezi kufunction without alcohol. So they neglect responsibility. That's another symptom. Utapata kama alikuwa analipa school fees anawacha, kama alikuwa responsibility in the house, you know, everything that happened in the house, inakuwa problem. So they neglect the responsibility at home or in school or a place of work. Jamaa anakuja ana report job, then after some time, assume he's in the lab, anawaja mashini yake hapo, anaenda kupata moja, ndiye akuja aendelee. Because he cannot work without the alcohol. So they neglect responsibility at work, at school, and even social obligation. Kama alikuwa hapa ndio, let me not use pastor kunywangi pombe. Maybe alikuwa member wa group fulani in church, unapata ana drop kuwa chairman, anakuwa tu member. After some time, anaacha hata kuwa member, hata anakataa kuparticipate. That is what we call neglecting social obligation because of in favor of addiction. They lose interest in hobbies. Maybe huyu ni mtu alikuwa anapenda kukua na marafiki, kuenda kuwatch football, kuenda mountain climbing, kuenda swimming. So they lose interest. This is why they lose interest. You see, I'm assuming you have never taken alcohol. And I'm assuming you have never felt high. When you take this substance, they go to your brain and they make your brain produce a hormone in your brain. This hormone is a feel-good hormone. You feel good. It makes you feel good. The best example of feeling good is when you eat your best meal. Kama we ni unapenda nyama choma, ukienda kula nyama choma, si unasikia vizuri? Are we together? Unasikia vizuri ukula nyama choma, si ndio? Sasa, that is what I'm saying, feel good effect. That is feeling high. Watoto walikuwa hapa ningempatia the best example of feeling high or feeling good. But I'm looking for people who can't understand what I'm saying. When you have conjugal right, and then you come to the maximum, that is the feel good I'm talking about. When you are... So, now substance, what it does, it multiplies that feeling by 50 times. I want you to imagine how good they feel. I'm using a real example to make you understand how good they feel. Unaona mtu amevuta bangi, amelala tu relax, ama anatumia cocaine, amelala tu hapo, yani unashangaa huyu mtu aone hata kama mvua inamnyeshea, lakini kwa akili yake he is feeling good. Ako in heaven, ako cloud 9. He is feeling 50 times that feeling. You get me? That is the example of feeling high. So they will neglect everything. Utampatia 50 bob aenda anunue githeri kwa sababu umemhurumia kwamba ako na njaa, lakini yeye ataenda kununua pombe akunywe because hiyo utamu ya githeri haitoshani na utamu ya pombe. Umeelewa? That is loss of interest in hobbies. So when you go to mountain climb, you come very happy, you enjoy yourself. Ukitoka swimming, umeswim, umesikia vizuri, umejienjoy. You get me? But now, the pleasure that is caused by the substance is far much more than the pleasure you get with the natural things like food, like swimming. That is why they neglect the hobbies for substance. Now, what are the types of substance that exist? We have been mentioning substance. Substance is the same as drug of abuse. They are the same thing. We have the substances that make your brain not function. They are called depressing. They depress the function. They make you sleep and relax. Inakufanya ukimeza hiyo kitu unasikia umerelax na hakuna shida na umetulia na unalala na unajienjoy. Utapata jamaa akishatumia hiyo substance amelala mahali amerelax tu. Nasema huyu jamaa amejizi. Of course anakaa mwenye amejizi, lakini ukimuuliza why are you like this atakwambia I'm enjoying myself. So they depress the nervous system. Example of them is alcohol. Then kuna madawa inaitwa tap. Those who abuse know what tap is. They are benzodiazepines. They are sold in shop, in a chemist. They make the system cool down and you feel good. Then painkillers, they are called opioids. There are opioids that are used for very severe pain. There are some people with cancer, they use those medications. They can also make your system go low and feel good. Therefore, opioids, alcohol, and benzodiazepines, they are depressant. Then there are those that when you take, you feel stimulated. They stimulate. Example of stimulant is cocaine. Kama mmesikia cocaine, nicotine, sigara, ama kuber. Kuber, nicotine, contains nicotine. So nicotine, caffeine, ile inakuwa kwa chai, is also a stimulant. So we are talking about cocaine, we are talking about caffeine, we are talking about amphetamine. Amphetamine, they are also sold outside there. They are called club drugs. Most of them, they are found in clubs. They are called modern substance of abuse. They are not known by the law, the poor man. They are only known by the rich people. In fact, they were being manufactured in this country. It was in the news sometimes back this year. They manufactured methamphetamine for abuse. It was in news sometimes in this in this country. So, miraa, heart, is also a stimulant. My drivers will take miraa so that they can remain alert and drive long distance. So we have amphetamine, we have cocaine, nicotine, caffeine. Now, cannabis is both. Bangi ni kitu ingine ya ajabu sana. Bangi, ukitaka ikustimulate, itakustimulate. Ukitaka ikudepress, it will depress you. So, what happens with cannabis is that you plan first. Nataka kuvuta hii bangi yangu, niende nilime eka moja ya shamba. Then you will smoke and you will do that. Nataka kuenda kukoroga watu kwa nyumba. Nataka kuenda kuleta vita nyumbani. So you smoke with that in mind, and that is what you will do. Ama nataka kukula hii ndoo moja ya ugali peke yangu. So you smoke and do it. That one is both effects. Cannabis has both effects. Ama nataka kurelax. Utasikia mtu anasema I smoke to relax. So they take cannabis so that they relax. Like the last patient I have just seen, a very young, beautiful lady, very beautiful, smokes cannabis in the university. Now, those are types of substance. Now, I was told to talk about alcohol, by the way. But I said, before I talk about alcohol, let me talk about substance in general. Okay. So, alcohol addiction, I'll repeat myself, is compulsive seeking for alcohol and use of alcohol despite harmful effects of alcohol. You look for alcohol, you use alcohol despite knowing the harmful effect of alcohol. That is called alcohol addiction. So, how do you know that my husband, my wife is addicted to alcohol? By the way, let me tell you about people who go to church and they are addicts. Them, they don't go to public. Wanaendanga supermarket, wananua moja, wanaenda kufungia kwa kabati. So today ukienda nyumbani, enda ucheki kabati ya bibi ama bwana yako. Utaweza pata iko na pombe. And I have seen not one, not two, not three church leaders who are addicted and their spouses doesn't know they are addicted. Last week, I saw a lady. Of course, we ask about, do you go to church? Are you a Christian? All those things. Very strong Christian in one of the denominations. But she's abusing benzodiazepines. I mentioned benzodiazepines, the depressant. So, addiction does not choose. It's not for the youth. It is for everyone. Now, how do I know that my husband is addicted to alcohol? One, being unable to limit the amount of alcohol he takes. Anasema, nitakunywa 2, ana end up kukunywa 7. Wanting to reduce, but fail to reduce. Anasema, I want to reduce alcohol, but he can only stay for 1 week. Then the next week, he's in the bar taking. So he has attempted to cut down, but failed. Another sign that this person is addicted to alcohol is if you tell him to stop alcohol, he becomes angry. When you tell him to stop alcohol, he becomes angry or annoyed. Then another symptom is he needs kufungua lock. That is the language ya mwananchi ya kawaida. We call it eye opener. Akiamuka asubuhi anafeel mwili imeshikana, ndiye afanye kitu yoyote lazima akunywe kidogo, just kidogo tu ndio mwili ifunguke aweze kufanya kazi. So they need eye opener. Then he spent a lot of time drinking and recovering from the effect of drinking. So kama hayuko hospitali kwa sababu ya pombe, ako nyumbani anatapika. Ama ako kwa kitanda anasikia headache. Ama anatafuta pesa ya kulewa. So he spent most of the time looking for the alcohol, drinking alcohol, or recovering from effect of alcohol. Then I mentioned about craving, then failing to fulfill obligation at a place of work, a place of school, and in the social places. He continued drinking even though it is causing physical problem, social problem, and relationship problem. Afadhali awachane na rafiki yake lakini aendelee kukunywa. So hataona kama kuna makosa kwa kukosana na rafiki yake ama kukosana na bibi yake, hii haina makosa, lakini afadhali akosane naye lakini apate chupa yake. That means that person is very addicted. Using alcohol in a situation that is not safe. For example, operating a machine under influence. Unapata mtu anakunywa na anaendesha gari. That person is an addict. That person is addicted. Anasema gari inajua nyumbani. Of course that is poor judgment. Sema hii gari nikikunywa gari yangu inajuanga nyumbani. And by the way inajuanga nyumbani. Sababu huwa inafika. Lakini saa ingine sometimes atakutana na accident. So they use alcohol in situations when they are not supposed to use alcohol. So they also experience withdrawal symptoms, and they also experience tolerance. So how do you know this person took alcohol today? Sikila mtu anajua mlevi vile anatembeanga na vile ana behave, we call it inappropriate behavior. Mtu anawezi kucontrol what is coming from his mouth. The way they walk with staggering nature. So they cannot they have abnormal behavior. They have unstable mood. Kidogo tu na anachemuka na anawasha nyumba. Mood is unstable. They become angry very easily. Unamchokoza kidogo tu anawasha. Then they have, we call it slurred speech. Kuongea hata ongea kama kawaida, na ongea polepole ile nilikuwa najienjoy mahali fulani alafu, that is called slurred speech. So the way they talk is also affected. Poor judgment. They don't make decision right. Mtu ako kwa club ajui. Okay, by the way ukiingia kwa club kuna kuanga na very ugly attendant. Wanakuanga ugly. Ukiangalia mrembo kwa club anakaa simu beautiful. But as you drink, the judgment is impaired. Then mwenye alikuwa ugly anaanza kuwa beautiful. In fact, we tell people ukiona mtu ameanza kuwa beautiful na alikuwa ugly, jua umelewa, enda nyumbani. So they start becoming beautiful. That means your judgment has been impaired. In fact, akiendesha gari, tuseme amefika roundabout, anaangalia, so naona roundabout, you go like this. Sasa yeye anataka kuenda exit yake iko hapo, lakini nitakana aende hivi. Na ni usiku, anaangalia, anasema hakuna magari, sinipitie tu hapa niende. That is how accident happens. Without knowing that, unaweza shortcutia hapo, then another vehicle appears. So, impaired judgment. There is a problem with attention and concentration, problem with memory, problem with coordination. Sometimes they can have blackout. Anakunywa mpaka anaona blackout. Then sometimes it can lead into coma and death when you are intoxicated. I think I'm about to finish. Show me an alcoholic and I'll show you a hopeless person. A person who has no future. A person who thinks he was beaten yesterday lakini hakusikia uchungu. I don't know if that is what the verse was saying. Let me see if I can get the right thing I read for you. Let me just check something here. Something on 28th. Now, the verse 29 says, show me people who drink too much, who have to try out fancy drinks, and I will show you people who are miserable and sorry for themselves, always causing trouble and always complaining. Their eyes are bloodshot, that means they are red, and they have bruises that they could have avoided. In fact, when you come to my room, I will know, the moment you sit there, I will know that you take alcohol. Bruises, they have wounds in different healing stages. Alianguka juzi, inapona. Ameanguka leo, iko fresh. Alianguka last year, ilipona last year. So the moment you look at the face of somebody like this, hii ni pombe hii. Now you direct your thinking to alcohol. So, 31, it says, don't let wine tempt you. By the way, if you talk to these people who drink alcohol, they have their own story. They will say, wewe ukiangalia wine kwa glass, auoni vile inakaa smart, na ukiikunywa, umeikunywa wine, inateremuka vizuri, una feel poa. So, don't let wine tempt you, even though it is rich red color and it sparkles in the cup and it goes down smoothly. That is the Bible. That is why they are addicted. It moves down very smoothly. When it is in a glass, it looks so nice for the eyes. Then the next morning, now we are talking about withdrawals. The next morning, you will feel as if you had been bitten by a poisonous snake. Unakaa ni kama uliumwa na nyoka jana. Why? You feel nausea, unasikia kutapika, you have headache, you have abdominal pain, you have diarrhea, you are shaking, you have hypertension. All those things will happen the following day. You are as if you are bitten by a poisonous snake. That is talking about withdrawal symptoms. Weird sights will appear. Now, that verse 33 says, weird sights. Yani unaona vitu yenye iko weird. That is hallucinations. People who take alcohol, the third day, if they stay without taking alcohol, siku ya tatu, they will start seeing things that you can't see. Sijui kama ni inakuanga nini, lakini wanaona, they start seeing things. Utaona mtu anasikia ni kama panya zinatembea huko juu. Atasikia ni kama mtu anamfukuza na mapanga. So they will come, wamemfunga, wanasema huyu anatoroka, anaona watu wanataka kumuua na mapanga. Now, alcohol is very good, by the way, because when you are withdrawing, inaletanga kitu yenye unaogopa. What you fear is what will come. That is what you will hallucinate. If you fear a snake, you will see a snake. If you fear being chased and killed by pangas, that is what you will see when you are withdrawing. In fact, the commonest is snakes. I have seen people sweating profusely, having tremors, and unable to stay in a room because it is full of snakes. Lakini ukiangalia huoni nyoka yoyote for normal person. But for whoever is withdrawing, he is seeing snakes. Wengine wanakuambia, I'm seeing, when I'm withdrawing, they see watu wamepanga line, but ni watu wa kawaida, lakini wamepanga line wakiwa wakianza kwa mtoto mpaka huko nyuma ni mrefu giant kabisa. So inatisha. So they will have hallucinations when they are withdrawing. Also sometimes they can have convulsion, kifafa. Anaanguka na kuconvulse when they are withdrawing from alcohol. So sometimes convulsion can be a sign of alcohol withdrawal. Hallucinations can be a sign of alcohol withdrawal. Some people become violent, wanaanza kufuruga watu nyumbani, become restless, others become anxious. So those are symptoms of alcohol withdrawal. Okay, so who is likely to become addicted? Who is likely to become addicted? One, the one who drinks oftenly. Leo umekunywa kila Friday ni sherehe, kila Friday ni sherehe, kila Christmas ni sherehe, kila Christmas ni sherehe, kila holiday ni sherehe. That is regular drinker is likely to be addicted. Sherehe ikipatikana, harusi, koito, sijui nini, pombe. Hiyo, they call them steady regular drinkers. Then those people who are likely to be addicted are those who start early. The one who started drinking early. Then those who have family history of addiction. Kama babu yako alikuwa mlevi, lazima one of your uncle ni mlevi. Na kama wewe ni mlevi, watoto wasipofanya juhudi, kutakuwa na mmoja wawili walevi. Genetics ama family history of addiction. People with depression and other mental illness are likely to abuse alcohol. Why do they take alcohol? They think, nikikunywa pombe nitasahau shida zangu. Na akiendelea kukunywa leo, ikiisha kesho atapata shida bado iko, anakunywa tena. Kesho kutwa anapata shida bado iko, anaendelea kunywa mpaka anakuwa addicted. So the problem is depression or mental illness. Then history of trauma. Kuna watoto wakiwa wadogo, they were traumatized. Either physical trauma, sexual abuse, neglect. When they are young, they end up starting to abuse substances when they are teenagers and when they are adults. So exposure to trauma, physical trauma, psychological trauma, neglect, ama sexual trauma, they are likely to abuse. Kwa sababu anafikiria hiyo kitu vile ilimfanyikia, ili asahau kufikiria hiyo kitu, anajipata anakunywa pombe ama anatumia bangi ndio asahau hiyo kitu. Social and culture. I have talked about that. Now, you have taken alcohol for a long time. What are the complications? Is there a problem with alcohol? Yes. There are problems on your body, and there are problems in the society, in your family, and there are problems in the society. Alcohol affects your body, alcohol affects your house, alcohol affects your community. Hakuna kusema ati kwa hii community huyo ni mlevi, sio jirani, ni jirani yangu, sio relative yangu, sasa mimi sina shida. Atakuja kukuibia ndio utajua niko na shida pia mimi. So the problem affects the person, it affects the family, and it affects the community at large. Motor vehicle accident. Mlevi akiendesha gari, whether you are a passenger, you will be involved in an accident. Relationship problems. Most of them end up separating from their wives because of addiction. I'm not saying women don't become addicted. Sometimes they separate from their spouses, husband or wife. In fact, it is very easy for a man to separate from a drunkard woman than a woman to separate from bwana yake mlevi. Lakini kuna mama wengine pia wanataka bwana yake akuwe mlevi. Iko tu watu hawataki bwana yake aje pombe. And they have reasons. Because bwana yangu anapata 1,100 kwa mwezi. Yeye ni mlevi, akikunywa akishapata mshahara ananipatia 80,000, anaenda kukunywa 20. Hiyo 80,000 mimi napanga familia yangu, watoto na kila kitu. Nani hataki kupata 80,000 kila mwezi? Hata wewe utataka. There are some women who are shallow thinking, short-sighted, will want their husband to continue drinking so that they continue earning 80,000 per month. Enablers. Okay? Being the head of the family. Ukisikia mimi ndio mdozi, huyo Jane ndiye ana control familia yake. Pamela ndio mdozi, bwana yake ni mlevi, hata ashughulikangi na watoto. Jane ndiye anashughulikianga watoto. You see, that is power. You have power, you are the head of the family. So you want your husband to continue drinking so that you continue being the head of the family. Mimi ndio naamua hii shamba inakotesha nani, mimi ndio naamua hii ng'ombe tunauza ama hatuuzi, mimi ndio naamua. So it will affect that relationship. Poor performance in school and work, that is another complication. Increased likelihood of being violent or committing violent crimes. Now, leave alone alcohol. Angalia kitu kama cocaine, ama ile ya Mombasa, wanasemanga ya Mombasa, pia huku iko. Ile cocaine ama heroin. You know, when you take the first, haujawahi kunywa tumia cocaine. When you take it for the first time, you will feel so good, you will only need that one time to be addicted. Ajana na pombe yenye unakunywa ukiendelea. Cocaine ni mara moja tu. Opioids, opium, morphine ni mara moja tu. Actually, I lost my classmate 2 years ago because yeye alikuanga mlevi wa pombe. Siku moja tumbo ikamuuma, daktari akampatia morphine. Jamaa graduate kutoka kwa pombe, akajana na pombe, akaanza kutumia morphine. Na kwa sababu yeye alikuwa ni daktari, sinu unajiprescribe tu na unapatia pharmacist anakupatia. He became addicted. He was taken to rehabilitation 3 times. He could not survive. Akajidunga mpaka akakuwa na, ukijidunga hiyo unapata abscess, unapata infection kwa mwili. Akaenda ICU ya mara ya kwanza, akaponyoka. Mara ya pili akaenda ICU, he died. Complication of hiyo kujidunga. He died a miserable person. But remember, he was a doctor. So there is legal problems. Legal problem is another complication. Problem, you sometimes engage in risky behaviors, unprotected sex, sexual abuse, rape as a complication. If I'm a lady, I don't have money to buy alcohol, what will I do? I have a source of income. Mwenye ako na pesa nitampatia. Complication. So that is a complication of alcohol. So you can also be raped. Unatoka usiku saa 8 kwa club, kwa mfuko umeibiwa ama huna transport, unatembea na wewe ni msichana, and men, when it is dark, they become animal whether they are sober or not. Nasema si huyo ni msichana, rape. So another complication is suicide. So some people, especially those with mental illness and addiction, and they are male, they are likely to commit suicide. Most of them die by suicide. Liver disease, digestive problems, heart problems, diabetic complications, eye problems. For those who are pregnant, you can have a baby, you can give birth to a baby with problems, what we call birth defects. Among others, neurological problems. Hawezi niambia ati kuna mwanaume anakunywa pombe for the last 20 years na anafanya hiyo kazi ya bedroom. Never. Never. In fact, the last one I discharged the other day, I asked him, why do you have only 2 children? Akasema, ni mpango yangu, niliamua hivyo. Then I asked the wife, why do you have only 2 children? Akasema sasa huyu mtu anaweza fanya nini? Complications. Then I came and told him, nasema wewe uliniambia uko na watoto wawili kwa sababu nikupenda kwako. Niliauliza bibi yako akaniambia haufanyangi transformer imeisha mafuta. So he started smiling. Nasema sasa tunafanya namna gani daktari? Daktari tutafanya namna gani? So management is very simple. Look for a psychiatrist. A psychiatrist will tell you whether this is addiction problem per se or this is a psychiatric problem that is making him drink alcohol. Before you treat the psychiatric problem, atakuwa anaenda do rehab, anarudi kwa pombe yake. Naenda rehab, anarudi kwa pombe yake. Because you have not sorted the problem. If the problem is marital problem, the wife is the problem. Unajua kwa baya ni mzuri sana, by the way. Naambiwa mimi siendangi, I don't take alcohol. But mlevi atakwambia mimi nikifika nyumbani kelele ya bibi siwezani nayo. Stima badala ya kuambia stima imeisha, anakupikia kelele ati stima imeisha. Badala ya kuambia watoto hawana school fees ni kelele. So there is peace in the club than in my house. So for you to treat that, you have to call the wife and do family therapy. Otherwise, utakuwa unampeleka rehab, anarudi, anapata the same wife in the house, anarudi kwa bar. Because by the way, ukifika kwa bar, ukienda rehab 3 months, na urudi kwa bar, utapata barmate anasema, while you are away, so and so came and bought you alcohol. Hii tumekuwekea. So the first time, you don't buy. You will be given. Sasa ile unakunywa ile moja yenye fulani alikununulia, unapata rafiki yako wa 3 months ago na bwana umetokelezea, kwani ulikuwa umeenda wapi? Hadi nilikuwa nimeenda rehab. Na huko walikuambia nini? Rehab nilikwambia usiwahi enda huko. Chukua hii moja. That is called a relapse. So, for you to treat that one, you have to treat the wife. Communication skills on the wife is the cause of this person taking alcohol. Sometimes people take alcohol because they have no knowledge. Anasema anakuambia mimi nakunywa pombe kwa sababu babu yangu alikuwa anakunywa. Babu yangu alikunywa pombe na alikufa na kansa. Sasa unataka kuniambia pombe ndio ileta kansa ya, anasema kansa yenye iko related na pombe. Anasema hata wewe unaweza sema hivi, wewe ukunywi pombe na unaenda unapata accident hapo. Kwani wenye wanakufanga na accident wote ni walevi? You see that? That person needs cognitive behavioral therapy. Aongeshwe kuweza kufikiria vizuri, because ni huyo mtu ni mwenye afikiri vizuri. Anaanza he praises alcohol. By the way, alcohol makes us equal. And it has no equal. What do you mean when you say alcohol makes us equal, has no equal? Asema when you go to a bar, when you take Tusker, whether we ni maskini, whether we ni MP, whether we ni police, pora unakunywa Tusker, sisi wote tunakunywa Tusker. So we are all equal. So alcohol makes us equal, and there's nothing that can equalize MP, president, police, and a farmer equally like Tusker. So alcohol makes us equal, has no equal. That is a person who needs to be told how to change the way he thinks. So they will be done cognitive behavioral therapy. I think I'll stop there and maybe invite some questions. 1, 2, 3, 4. We discuss. Swali. Najua ukijiongelesha peke yako, lakini you must ask question, otherwise you have heard nothing. Because I know you have not heard everything. Haujasikia kila kitu. Mkubwa uko na swali? Uko sawa? Umesikia kila kitu? Uongo. Yes? Maybe.
Okay, thank you Daktari for your very comprehensive presentation. Swali langu ni mimi nilikuwa mtoto nikakuwa traumatized, I was abused and such. And now nimekuwa mtu mzima, zile the thinking of the past keeps coming, and of course that pushes me to a sort of depression, and therefore I find myself drinking alcohol. So what should I do to overcome whatever the past?
Good question. Any other? That was okay. Let me answer that specific question. He has childhood trauma that makes him feel stressed or depressed Therefore, he wants to treat that depression with alcohol. You go to a psychologist, you talk about your trauma. Alcohol is not one of the treatment of stress. You will have, psychologist will help you to come up with ways of handling your depression. One of the way is not alcohol. You will talk. Actually, it is you who has the solution. The psychologist will only facilitate you to come up with the way to overcome your stress. That is actually called cognitive behavioral therapy. So you see a psychologist, you talk about the trauma and how it is affecting you now, and then you come out with ways of overcoming it. So you need therapy. Okay. Yes, there's another.
Good evening, church. Yes, teacher, I heard you, Dr. I heard you saying that when you are withdrawing, you see snakes, you see somebody is holding you, or some people are fighting. If you keep on seeing them without going back to the drinking, will it get healed, or it will still continue until, or it will, you go back again, you start drinking, then those things disappear?
Now, she's asking, when you are having visual hallucination and you don't drink, what will happen, isn't it? Now, withdrawal have stages. I said on that day or second day is when you will start hallucinating. But it doesn't mean that the first day or the 0 day, there's no symptoms. There are symptoms. The first one is usually tremors, headache, vomiting, abdominal pain. You do nothing, now it graduates to hallucinations. You do nothing, the fourth day you can start convulsing. That is a way of the body telling you that you are missing alcohol. Get me alcohol. The brain is telling you, get me alcohol. You are missing alcohol. That is why you. Now, when you are hallucinating and you do nothing, what will happen? You can actually die. Because there are other symptoms. You develop something called delirium tremens. That's a medical term. But there's another complicated symptom that can actually kill you because of withdrawal. If it is severe, you can die because of alcohol withdrawal complications. Now, if you don't die, some people develop memory loss. I have seen people who, because of alcohol withdrawal, it wipes the memory completely. Unakuwa na dementia, you completely lose everything. So you are just there physically, no physical problem, but you can't remember where even you live. So another complication of that, if you do nothing, is you can lose memory and develop that complication of memory loss. So I said, 1, you can die. 2, you can lose memory. Then, of course, because of other symptoms that are associated with the withdrawal, for example, vomiting. You know, vomiting alone can kill you because it will cause electrolyte imbalance. Una vomit kila kitu mpaka you die because of electrolyte imbalance or dehydration. So, hallucination is just a way of the body telling you that, look, I'm feeling bad. And it's not only alcohol that causes hallucination. There are other things that can make you hallucinate. But with this alcohol, by the time you hallucinate, if you do nothing, if you are lucky, you'll be okay. If you are lucky, nothing will happen. But if you are unlucky, you can die or you can lose memory. Okay? What do we do when they come to the hospital? We replace alcohol. Actually, that is what we admit and replace alcohol. but now in form of drugs. There are drugs outside there that you give, and the body thinks that he has taken alcohol. There are drugs outside there. Then you gradually reduce the medication to 0, and then you discharge the patient. So the withdrawal is just the body telling you that I'm missing this thing. Give it to me. Because remember, it's a brain disease, and the brain has memory of how it feels to be good. So that is what will happen. I don't know if I have answered you. Okay, good.
Good afternoon, Church. I've stayed with relatives who are alcoholic since childhood. The mother used to prepare the pusa at that time. They got used to it since they were young children. That thing has really affected them. You find they can't do most things for themselves. They have the resources, but anytime they have the money, they will go out in the morning to look for the pombe. They come back. Sometimes there are those who hallucinate. They scream at night loudly. It's like somebody is chasing them or is attacking them. So how would you assist such people? Like they have taken it for many years, but until it has affected, they are progressing. They can't progress because
they have been drinking all their lives.
First thing in the morning is going to look for the pombe. Even if they are working somewhere, one can disappear from where you are working. He goes to look for it. When he has taken it, he will come with a lot of energy and start working very hard. So how would you assist such people? It is really paining their relatives from in-laws.
Now, if it is purely addiction, the way it sounds, because it sounds like these people have been drinking since they were very young until now. So it looks like it is addiction. Once you stabilize, remember I said when the patient comes in the hospital, we replace alcohol in quote. We give medication that act like alcohol. That one will last for 1 to 2 weeks. But now after those 2 weeks is when the problem starts. So the best thing they should do, if they are willing, is to be taken to rehabilitation where they will stay away from substance for at least 3 months. That is the purpose of rehabilitation. You're keeping away someone from alcohol so that this brain, remember the brain of that person is wired towards drinking. Everything that he thinks is surrounding alcohol. At akipata stress, he has to go and take before he starts thinking. So this is a person who is addicted, and he may benefit from, if he's willing, he may benefit from admission in a rehabilitation, stay away from alcohol for a while so that the brain can start thinking something different. But as he is, his thinking is revolving around alcohol, if it is purely addiction. However, it could be mental illness. It could be that this family has schizophrenia. Let me tell you something called schizophrenia. When you have schizophrenia, you have these mental symptoms that can even make you not sleep. Then one time you realize that when I take alcohol, you feel sedated and you are able to sleep. So you use alcohol as medication for this mental illness. Are we together up to that level? So you realize that this person, even ukimuuliza yeye kwa kupenda kwake, hangekunywa pombe. Lakini kwa sababu akikosa kunywa pombe, atakuwa na hii symptom ya psychosis, symptom ya schizophrenia, symptom ya bipolar, symptom ya attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, ADHD. For him to relax, he takes alcohol. That is why it is necessary that you take to a psychiatrist to see, is it really alcohol addiction per se, or he has a primary psychiatric disorder that he uses alcohol to cover up. And I can tell you, very high number of people outside there, they have primary psychiatric disorder. If you see a man who takes alcohol so severe that the wife left him, that person is likely to have a primary psychiatric disorder. In fact, I always ask, are you separated? If the answer is yes, I start looking for another thing other than just addiction. There are 4 of them. Genetic is playing a role. And it is likely that in that family there is a mental illness. Ask if there is anybody who committed suicide. Ask if there is anybody who wandered away and never came back. Ask if there is anybody who could not handle marriage. Then those 3 things I have mentioned are pointing toward a primary psychiatric condition, a primary mental condition. If there is anybody who committed suicide in that family, if there is anybody who wandered away and got lost, if there is anybody who was hit by a vehicle, maybe crossing the road, but alikuwa amelewa ama alikuwa psychotic. If they cannot handle relationships, then they must be a primary psychiatric problem. Unless you treat that one, pombe ni sosa tu. Okay? Yes.
Okay. Good afternoon. Thank you, Doctor, for the very informative session. Now, there is this person who has been in a rehab twice, and he just keeps on relapsing. And from the discussion, you find that there is marital issues at home that are contributing to this person drinking habit. And the extended family are ready and willing to assist this person. But then now the spouse is a problem actually, I've just connected from what we discussed. Maybe because of what you said about having authority or handling money and all that. Now, how can this person be assisted? Thank you.
Unataka kutoa power kwa mwanamke? I hope the person is a male. Now, for you to assist that person, you must assist the other one first. You must buy or win the spouse. Because it looks like the person wants to be assisted, the family members want to assist this person, but it is the next of kin, the spouse, that is the problem. I alluded to why there are a problem. Because there are benefits that comes with my husband and my wife being alcoholic. There are benefits that comes with it. So let this person know that apart from what you are benefiting, if you lose this guy because of addiction, then even the benefit will go away. I'm imagining if, assuming it's the wife, and he's preventing relative from taking the husband for rehabilitation and treatment, what will happen if this man dies? They will chase her away because of the property. I'm sure about that. Because they will accuse her for not assisting their brother or sister, leading to her death. Therefore, you make her realize that whatever she's doing has negative implications later on. She might be enjoying or he might be enjoying now, but in future, when worst comes to the worst, she's the one going to suffer. So you have to make the person preventing this person being assisted realize that she will even be better with a normal functioning spouse than an alcoholic spouse. So there is need for couple therapy. The wife accompanied the husband for couple therapy or the family therapy. When you go to rehabilitation, you take this person to rehabilitation, in a good rehab, they will call the wife and discuss. They will talk, another day they might call the children and discuss. The children says how they feel about their drunkard father, how the father feels about the children. And then another day they will call now the extended family, the father, the mother, if they're still alive, the aunt, the uncle, or any relative who is willing to come and participate, brothers, sisters, so that they can discuss what we call family therapy. We discuss how has alcoholism of this guy affected the sister, the mother, the cousin, and what have you? How has been the alcohol affected the wife? At that point, it is an eye-opener. The wife who's been preventing this lady from, this man from being assisted, he or she will see the need to take this person for assistance to the rehabilitation. So they need therapy. They need couple therapy. They need family therapy. They need to be assisted to see the problem. Then we usually say that she lacks insight. Ajijui kile kitu yenye anafanya hajui, so unamjulisha aweze kujua kwamba what she's doing is wrong. Once she knows that or he knows that, then they can assist this person who is affected. So education is very important in that case. Kwa hiyo group, kuna group ya ile nyuma, alafu tukuja hapa, alafu tumalizie hapo. Hakuna mtu anauliza bangi. Hamtaki kujua mambo ya bangi. This lady I've just seen, ananiambia askari wanamfuata. Just before you ask, anasema askari wanamfuata, na ni ukweli si ukweli wanamfuata. Anasema askari wanamfuata, in fact they are after her neck. Na ni ukweli, daktari usiseme ati mimi nimejizi, ni askari wananifuata. Na mimi kwa akili yangu nasema hiyo ni kujizi sasa yenyewe unasema hiyo. And then anasema na bado nasikia wakiniongelea. Nikiwa hapa nasikia watu huko nje wanaongea. Na nawasikia hata nawajua wengine, lakini daktari usiseme ati nimejizi. That is what was keeping me. Actually, I didn't attend to her well because I was rushing here. That is now mental illness. She's hearing voices other people cannot hear, and she's paranoid that police are following. And she started by attending parties, akapewa cake, queen cake that was spiced. Then the next, it was also a cake. But now after that, she asked, what is in this cake that is making me happy? And then they told her that it is spiced with cannabis. Wanachukuanga bangi, wanachemsha, inatoa maji. Hiyo maji ndio wanatumia kukanda unga ya kutengeneza keki. Kwa hivyo ukikula keki ni kama umekula bangi na unalewa. So from there akaanza kuvuta bangi sasa. Na usiambie mama because alikuwa amekuja na mama yake. Na by the way sikumwambia. So because we have to develop that relationship and trust. So she had cannabis-induced psychosis. Inakaa tu kabisa kama schizophrenia, but cannabis-induced psychosis.
Yeah, thank you so much for that very, very insightful presentation. We are learning a lot on this subject of alcohol, substance abuse, which has become very common. Now, I just want you to look at two scenarios. The current generation and the older generation. You know, the older generation is older than me, you know. And that time, drinking alcohol of whatever sort, and also smoking bang was very common. Was very common in the villages where we came from. My grandfather used to drink it. You know, this one where you have the one that passes through water, you know, where you put some kind of, it passes through water, and then it's very fresh when you drink it because it has been cleaned by the water.
That is alcohol or cannabis?
Cannabis, you know, yeah. My grandfather used to drink it.
It sounds like shisha.
Yeah.
It sounds like shisha.
And it makes some noise when you are drinking it, when you are smoking it. Yeah, and they used to encourage the young chaps to take it. And even alcohol, women were drinking a lot of alcohol, especially during funerals and celebrations, and they were encouraging the young ones to drinking, to taste a bit, and so on and so forth. But the adverse effects are much more greater now than that time. What has changed? What has changed, from your experience and background study in this area? Why is it that now the effects are much more than that time? Because, even, when you take ban, for example, the way I used to see it, those who are taking ban were even stronger in the fields, isn't it? They were doing much more work than the others. So they were loved by their parents than even the ones who are not taking it. So now my question is, what has changed that people used to take it that time and it has positive effects in terms of performance than now? You see, that is one question.
What has changed?
What has changed? Yeah. The next question is, when you grow up with your children and you try to caution them from alcohol and substance abuse, there is curiosity. What is this thing that we are being told not to try? We have never tried it, and we are being told many times. Then there's that temptation to try it and see what is it, what is in it, and so on and so forth. You did not talk about that. How do you handle that? No. How do you start cautioning your children without raising that curiosity? Okay. The third question is just a remark from my own experience. The behavior of an alcoholic and a Christian. It was an experience we saw as children when these two people visited our father at home. One of them was a church elder who came during a week of prayer. Another one is the husband of my aunt, the sister of my father. They used to come different times. So, in the village, we are very many. So whenever a visitor comes, that's when chicken is slaughtered, isn't it? And the children are told not to eat with the guest. It's only the parent that eats with the guest. So we will wait, and we hope that the guest will not clear everything, and whatever remains is shared between, you'll be given. So among these two people, the church elder came, he cleared everything and even drank the soup. But the drunkard who came, when they were eating, my father kept on telling him to eat. And he told him, no, leave me alone. I'm the one who knows how to handle children. He never ate. He shared everything that he had with the children. So now these children, out of these people, when they leave this place, whom among these two people will they admire his character? So those are some of the things that went in our mind. So now in that kind of a scenario, how do you now advise these children, when they have actually experienced it between a church elder and a drunkard? Whom are they going to love his character?
Good. Let me start with the last one as I go to the second, then the first one. Now, the pastor and the alcoholic. Being alcoholic does not mean that you lack other virtues. Community, there are virtues and vices. One is gluttonous, it's called that gluttonous. Na mwingine is kind. So being alcoholic does not mean that you lack all the virtues that you are taught by your father, your mother, all those things. So it's just a matter of character Now, these children will see an alcoholic and they say, I think if I take alcohol, I'll also be kind. Now, now that one will lead us to answering question 2 about curiosity. That maybe if I take alcohol, I'll be kind and I'll be sharing. For you to manage the curiosity of the children, when you unaambia usikunywe pombe, usifanye hii, show them with the examples. Ward 8 here is very open to the public, and I think SDA comes. Yeah, SDA, watu wa SDA wanakujanga huko. In fact, they have helped us so much. But sijui ni hii kanisa ama nyingine. Anybody who visits a mental patient in Nakuru from here? Now it is, you visit with other groups of ladies. Yes, they come from here. Oh, so this one is the pastor, and then the other church is the drunkard. So for curiosity, you have to teach with the examples. Because if you don't tell them, don't do this, they will do. In fact, when I visited my school, my grade 9 girl, the teacher said that the children were asking him why they are prevented from having sex and it's pleasurable. Why are they being prevented from having sex and it is pleasurable? So why are you preventing us from drinking alcohol? Show them the consequences of drinking alcohol practically, so that by the time they grow up, they know this person became this way because of addiction. There they will know it is bad. But otherwise telling me that don't board that vehicle, I'll board and see what happens. So use life examples. Okay? Even in that question, the drunkard and the pastor, show him the negative sides of alcoholism. Then also show him the positive sides of, there's no positive side of alcoholism, of a person as a human being, the virtues that this man shared chicken with you because he learned to share. This pastor did not share, not because he's a pastor, but because he has vices. Ni mlafi. Wajue tofauti ya kuwa kind na ulafi. Na wajue madhara ya pombe by real life example. For example, if you took your youth and brought them to Ward 8 on a Sunday or a Saturday, we show them that this man became this way by smoking cannabis. And then they will ask the person himself, so you landed here because of cannabis? Say yes. How much were you smoking? This. Where do you buy? There. How much does it cost? This amount of money. They will live knowing that actually cannabis is bad. That is curiosity. But otherwise, saying no, they will tell you rules were made to be broken. Simple. That is what they will tell you. And that is what they will think as they try. Say, rules were made to be broken. If they were not broken, there will be no rules. So show them the example so that they can see how people have suffered. And kama wako na akili, watasoma kwa mifano ya wengine, hawatangoja kujisomea kwao wenyewe. Now, the first question. People used to drink or to smoke cannabis. Let me use cannabis. And they were energetic and they were loved by people in the community. And nowadays, there are more of mental illness and bad effect compared to those days. True? That is the question, isn't it? Now, the answer is very simple. Now there is communication. We know things that are happening around us and we know things that are happening far away from us. Those days it was community. Ndio ujue yenye imefanyika Kisii na Kisumu Ilitakana utembelee andi yako mwenye ameolewa Kisumu ndio ujue bangi iliharibu mtu Kisumu na haijaharibu hapa kwetu. But now we know that cannabis affects people and does not affect other people. For sure, I said cannabis can be used. You think what you want to do, you do the cannabis, then you do that thing. For example, those young men that were loved by elderly in the community, they were not being affected negatively. I'll tell you why. But they were loved because they could smoke, they are energetic, they till land, they fight war, things like those, without negative effect. Now, the studies show that if you have family history of mental illness, if you smoke cannabis, and don't take advantage of what I'm saying, if you smoke cannabis without family history of mental illness, you are likely to go scot-free. Nobody will know that this man smokes cannabis. If you have no family history of mental illness, utavuta bangi, utakuja hapa uhubiri, wewe ni pastor yule mzuri, havutangi bangi kwa sababu watu hawatajua. Because your genetics is protecting you. You don't have mental illness. Lakini kuna wale wenye anatumia tu hata puff moja anafiatuka na anakaa hivyo kwa miaka 7. Alafu mnaanza kusema bangi ilikaa kwa mwili miaka 7. Hiyo ni the truth is bangi imeamusha the mental illness that was sleeping. And what you are seeing for the next 7 years is not the effect of the cannabis he smoked, is the effect of the primary mental illness that was awakened by smoking cannabis. So, it is to do with genetics. And kwa sababu kwenu hamukuwa able to communicate with people who are far, maybe hakukuwa na family history of mental illness around there, watu walikuwa wanavuta tu bangi na wanakaa tu sawa. Na wenye kwingine nao walikuwa wanajua huko tulikuwa tukivuta bangi tunajizi, mpaka tumeambia our lineage from great grandfather mpaka saa hii usiwahi jaribu bangi kwa sababu babu ya babu yako alijaribu bangi akajizi kwa miaka 7. So you see those two different families, different genetic, different effects on cannabis. Don't take advantage of that because you don't know if you have family history of mental illness or not. That one, he doesn't know, you don't know, he doesn't know. Haujui. Kama unajua, uko na bahati. Reason why you don't know is because it is only the mother who knows the father of the child. Unaweza kuwa unaangalia kwa kina mama, hakuna wenda simu. Kwa kina baba, hakuna wenda simu. Alafu una conclude kwetu, hakuna wenda simu. Kwa hivyo naweza vuta bangi na ida ni thuru. Kumbe, wenye unasema kwenu, sio kwenu. Kwa hivyo hujui kama kwenu iko ama haiko. That is a fact. Mimi kwa hii masikio yangu, nimeuliza mama na baba, kwenu kuna shida ya akili? Mama anasema hapana. Baba, kwenu kuna shida ya akili? Baba anasema hapana. Na hii nao imetoka wapi? Sema hata sisi hatujui. Then they go. Then the mother comes later on. Anasema iko kwao. Huyo si baba yake. Huyo ni baba mlezi. So you never know if you belong there. So you don't say kwa sababu kwetu hakuna nitajaribu bangi. You don't know where you come from. Simple. Na usisema ati unafanana na baba yako. Kwa sababu mama yako si mjinga, aenda achukue mzungu na yeye ni Mwafrika. Sawa? So genetics play a big role in whether you will become mentally sick after smoking or not. And now it become, there's a lot of these things currently than before. I think it's because of improved communication, improved technology, learning is happening. People are now learned. They know cannabis. Hata kitambo hamkuwa mnajua cannabis, pengine mlikuwa mnafikiria hiyo mlikuwa mnaitaje? Nyasore. Yeah. So And then I mentioned something about imported and local. By the way, effect of cannabis depend on where it is planted. Ile ya Ethiopia na ya Kenya, they are totally different. Effect on the same person. Ukienda huko Western, ya Kisii na ya Vihiga, mahali inaitwa Luanda, they are not the same as ya hapa Nakuru. Hapa ni nyasi. Lakini yenye imetoka Kisii au Luanda in Vihiga, moja tu down. So the genetics plays a major role. Also, if you take it for a long time, when you are developing brain, you are likely to become psychotic. Kitambo, wenye walikuwa wanapewa hiyo vitu, walikuwa ni watu wazima, si watoto. Lakini unapata saa hii mtoto mdogo, the brain is still developing, expose the brain to cannabis, it changes the wiring of the brain, you develop psychosis. And that is also another reason why it is rampant. Okay, thank you.
Very sorry, all the camp planning committee members, the chair is waiting us in the boardroom. Kindly let us move to the boardroom.
Yes.
I just wanted to ask a quick one. You were using alcohol, bangi, but this bangi, you're not smoking it. You're having it through cookies.
And cakes.
And cakes. That was around 6 years ago. Then you went to rehab and you stopped. But now, 5 years down the line, after the rehab and everything, you are okay, then it behaves like a withdrawal syndrome. The symptoms you're having when you're in rehab crops up randomly at some times. How can it be assisted?
Okay. Medication. So this is a person who used cannabis and alcohol 6 years or 5 years ago. Now he's having symptoms that are similar to what they were experiencing when they were using. True? This is now, schizophrenia and cannabis-induced psychosis, the symptoms are the same. Schizophrenia is a mental illness. Cannabis is caused by smoking cannabis. But the symptom of this and this are the same. That is why mtu akiwa na schizophrenia, anasema mimi sijavuta bangi, nyinyi community mnasema anavutanga bangi. Huyu kijana wa fulani ameanza kufuta bangi. Uona na ajili ya nywele ni mchafu, kumbe ni mtu ameshikwa na schizophrenia, sio bangi. Kwa hivyo huyo mtu ukiona symptom zinafanana na sabangi na hatumii bangi, that is schizophrenia. That is a primary mental illness. That is why I said most people who smoke or abuse substance, they have a primary mental illness. So when you remove the substance and you remain with the symptom, then that is primary mental illness. And the duration is 1 month. If you stay for 1 month without using cannabis, you should be okay. You are supposed to be okay. 1 month after stopping cannabis, you are supposed to be okay. But if after 1 month, 2 months, 3 months, you are still behaving as if you are still using, then you come and see me. I'll give you some tablet. Thank you.
Thank you so much for that talk. I think we have come to the end of the program for today. Maybe it's an end around us to give us a closing prayer, even as we have a final song from our chorister. We can do the Great Physician as we finish. Elder Onyando will pray for us after the song.
We shall rise. 254, the Great Physician. The great great physician now is near. Let's go. The great physician now is near, the sympathizing Jesus. He speaks the drooping heart to cheer, or hear the voice of Jesus. The sweetest note in seraph song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest carol ever sung, Jesus, blessed Jesus. All glory to the dying Lamb, by now believing Jesus. I love the blessed Savior's name, I love the name of Jesus. Sweetest note in seraph song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest carol ever sung, Jesus, blessed Jesus. His name dispels my guilt and fear, no other name but Jesus. Oh, how my soul delights to hear the precious name of Jesus. Sweetest note in seraph song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest carol ever sung, Jesus, blessed Jesus. And when he comes to bring the crown of life and glory, then by his side we will sit down and tell redemption's story. Sweetest note in seraph song, sweetest name on mortal tongue, sweetest carol ever sung, Jesus, blessed Jesus.
Shall we pray? Father in heaven, Lord, we glorify your name and we thank you for being with us. We thank you for taking us through the program of the day. And even this afternoon, Lord, we thank you for the message that has been given to us by your servant. Lord, you know we as parents are facing challenges with our children with regard to substance abuse, drugs, alcohol. Father, every parent has tried very hard to educate the children, their respective children, Lord, but they are having a lot of challenges. We want to invite you to be with every family and to intervene in this area where the current generation is under big temptation, Father. Open ways for them, give them wisdom to make right decisions, and to have good relationship with their parents, Lord. We want to glorify your name once again, even as we continue bringing out our children in this field. Lord, we shall see your light coming into our ways so that these children will come to you, Father, and be able to have very good relationship with their parents, Father. As we disperse this evening, Lord, we also want to commit your servant who has brought to us the message, that you be with him, and that as he continues this work, Father, his work may be able to shine, and that as he passes the message will be heard, and the children will change their habits and ways of behavior. We thank you once again as we disperse with us. In Jesus' name I pray.